my West Coast people haven't gotten off of work yet. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this webinar. I'm going to have a half screen up so I can see your comments, but I don't want to get too distracted by your comments. So thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Tanya Rapley. I'm a certified financial educator. Charlotte, that's where I'm from. Charlotte, North Carolina, and I work with individuals on their money. I specialize in helping millennial women with their money, and I help them create a healthy relationship with money so that they can create a life that inspires them and a life that's as fabulous as them. New Mexico, whoa, that's awesome. I haven't ever been to New Mexico nor Milwaukee. Gail, I think that's my Gail. So let me just give you a little bit about me and a little bit about my background. I'm so happy you guys are here. I swear I'm so happy y'all are here. I am a military brat. I was born in the Philippines. I posted that today. A lot of people were surprised by that. And I mean, a lot of people know my story. I share my story with some people. I started My Fab Finance, which is my music blog, my finance blog in 2013, but it's not my first go at blogging. I also had a music blog called The Eargasm, and that's what brought me to New York City. But it wasn't that successful because I think I tried to go blogging the wrong route that time, but I got it right this time. So that's the first lesson in here. I mean, I moved to New York to start a music blog, like dropped everything, sold all of my corporate clothes because I was like, I'm not going to have a corporate job ever again. This was back in 2008. And I ended up having to get a corporate job because I didn't have a plan for that music blog other than I was just going to monetize and get ads to sponsor me. So I moved here shortly after graduating from college, and during college, I was in an abusive relationship. It was financially abusive. And most people know that's how I started My Fab Finance, because my finances were wrecked after that relationship. I mean, everything from like my credit was in the dumps. I had no money in savings. I barely had money to leave that relationship and get home. But fortunately, my mom intervened and was like, look, we need to get you home. I'm going to help you get home. So a little bit more about my background. I'm not a finance major. Growing up, I hated math. I have 2 degrees. My undergraduate degree is in public administration, and my master's degree is in urban policy. And I'm not currently using either of those. But My Fab Finance resulted from, I guess, it was my journey. It was my journey, and I created the blog for people to hold me accountable. I wanted to improve my finances. I was tired of living in the credit dumps. And so I started this blog to be my accountability partner, and it's grown into a business that I absolutely love. And it's my purpose, it's my passion, it's my everything. I think about it in the morning as soon as I wake up, I'm thinking My Fab Finance. And as soon as I go to sleep, I'm thinking My Fab Finance. I probably dream about My Fab Finance and don't even realize it. Lovely says she's still having problems. I'm not sure why she would still be having problems, because everybody else can see this, right? So I'm not sure why she would be having problems. Maybe someone can help her out in the comments if there's something that you did, you were able to help her. Maybe that will work. And so I just wanted to start on my unconventional journey, and I want to keep this really short because this is about you and you asking me questions about my journey. So I've written everything down. I'm extremely, extremely Gemini, and I forget things easy. So I wrote everything down to make sure I got these points in before I open it up for the Q&A. And the main thing I want you to understand is, as far as my journey, I didn't know what it was going to be. Thank you so much, Brandy. I didn't always know what it was going to be. I didn't know what I was going to become. Like, you know, some people are like, growing up, they're like, I am going to be a doctor. I am going to be an attorney. That was not me. Tanya had no idea what Tanya wanted to do. But then there came a point where, hey, Trina, then there came a point where I realized that I wanted to change the world. And I had this aha moment, and I started crying. I was working at the YWCA of Brooklyn, and I started crying, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to change the world. I told my colleague that, and we talk about that now. And so I ended up reading The Alchemist, which is one of my all-time favorite books. If any of you guys have read The Alchemist, make sure you leave that in the comments to encourage somebody else who hasn't read it, because it's such a life-changing book. That didn't change my life entirely, but it gave me this really powerful quote. And the quote was that when you want something bad enough, the entire universe conspires to help you achieve it. And that is the story of my life, essentially. But I want to give you solid points on how I was able to make the transition. But that, in short, is how I've kind of governed my life since reading that book. And so I set forth to set a desired outcome. And I didn't know how I was going to get to working for myself. When I was in Paris in June of 2013, I was just like, I want to be location independent. I did not like my job at that time. And I was like, I want to be location independent. I have to figure out how to make this happen. And I think how it's going to happen is My Fab Finance. My Fab Finance, let me just be honest. My Fab Finance is, I get probably about 20,000 views. Hi, Angela. Hey, Angela. I get about 20,000 views a month. So My Fab Finance is not generating income based off of site views or affiliates. I think my Google AdSense is like deplorable. It's really bad. That's not how I'm generating income, and that's not how I was able to make it. So with that said, I want to share what my aha moments were, because I have several, and most of you who know me know that I was on the cover of Black Enterprise. And one would think that that was my aha moment, but it wasn't. That was not my aha moment at all, because I wasn't ready. And I love Eric Thomas, and I'm always listening to Eric Thomas, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. God knows I'm thankful for the opportunity, and I won't ever say, you know, that it wasn't one of the best things that ever happened to me being on Black Enterprise. But I learned, and this is the Eric Thomas quote, I learned that it's not the opportunity of a lifetime if you're not prepared to take advantage of the lifetime of that opportunity. And when Black Enterprise happened, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't coaching. I was just still trying to figure things out. And that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned from that. And so that's going to be one of the 4 things that I recommend, as I recommend that you step into your passion. And this is just me being honest and me being real. I want to be honest and real and open with you. This is my first live Q&A. So you guys deserve that from me. So yeah, I wasn't ready for the Black Enterprise opportunity, even though I'm incredibly proud of it and happy that it happened. My aha moment really happened. My aha moment really happened after I interviewed Russell Simmons. And I work with Rush Card. So I'm the certified, I'm the financial educator for Rush Card. And that was a relationship that I've been developing for the past six months. And when I sat down, I had the interview with Russell Simmons. I was like deathly sick that day. I have no idea. It was like God literally swooped in and like cloaked me and was just like, okay, we're going to help you get through this interview without sneezing and coughing all over this man. And it's like my illness disappeared for the moment. And then I called my mom after I did it, and I was so excited. And she's like, so what are you doing next? And I was like, going into the office. And she was like, what? And everybody I texted and sent the picture to her, like, you're going back to work. And it hit me then. I was like, oh my God, I'm going back to work after I interviewed Russell Simmons. And that, hi, Nikki. And that was just, I feel like I had an aha moment then. Like, that's when it happened. That's when it hit me. And it wasn't because I thought I was too big because I had interviewed Russell Simmons that day. It was because I realized that I was being blessed immensely. And whether you're religious or not, you know when good things are happening in your life. I'm incredibly spiritual. And I realized I was being blessed in ways that people just couldn't figure out why these things were happening for me. And I realized I was scared. I was scared to venture out and do My Fab Finance on my own. At this point, the Rush Card contract is covering all my expenses, and I have other writing clients. And I was fearful of leaving my job, and I realized that I didn't want God to give up on me and stop blessing me because I was too fearful to take advantage of the blessings that he was putting in my life. Like, I knew that My Fab Finance was my passion. I knew that the stuff that's happening for me is just like, this is not a coincidence. Like, this is God working and trying to show you that this is your passion. So that was my aha moment. And so I want to so that is why I named this session, I Chose Me, because I grew up with military parents. I grew up, my parents they had side hustles, but entrepreneurship was right along the lines with like artists. It was like, you ain't gonna make no money doing that. And so it was just, it was instilled in me to go and get a 9-to-5 job, and work for someone else. And when I was sitting so after I interviewed Russell Simmons, I was sitting in a meeting at my job, and it's a wonderful organization. This was another reason it was hard, because I walked away. They had just given me like a significant salary raise 6 months ago. They paid 100% of my benefits. I was incredibly comfortable. They were flexible. I was working My Fab Finance, and people didn't even know I had a 9-to-5 because the job was so flexible. But there came a point where it became too difficult and selfish for me to balance the two. And I had to choose me. I had to choose what I was passionate about and what drove me. Because at the end of the day, while that nonprofit organization had a great mission, it wasn't Tanya's mission. Tanya's mission and Tanya's purpose is something completely different from what I was doing. And I had to choose me for probably the first time in my life. And it's empowering, it's exciting, it's nerve-wracking, if you want me to be honest, but it's a beautiful experience and journey. And I look forward to helping you guys along your journey. So with that said, now we are going to open it up for the Q&As. Keep in mind that there is a slight delay. And so if you ask your question, it might be, a few seconds before I respond to your question, but I'm going to respond to your question. So I would love for you to ask your questions that you have for me. This is not a finance session, even though I'm a certified financial educator. This is not a finance session. This is about purpose, passion, stepping into doing what you want to do full time, and getting advice from someone who did it in a non-conventional way. Because what's commonly laid out for bloggers, and Trina from Baby Shopper actually wrote about this today, what's commonly laid out for bloggers is that we have to get affiliate dollars, or we have to get sponsored posts in order to do blogging full time. And I don't have either of that. I don't have any sponsored posts because of the type of work that I do on My Fab Finance. And I was able to build my business up to a point based off of my blog. I was able to use my blog as a tool to leverage that into making enough income. So how did you work on building the Rush Card contract relationship? So the Rush Card relationship, this is an interesting thing. And a lot of people want to frown at doing free events, or speaking at free events. But I secured the Rush Card contract because I spoke for free at a Women of Color in Communications event. There's someone here from ColorCom now, but I spoke for free at a Women of Color in Communications event. And the marketing person, the marketing director from Rush Card, just happened to be in the audience. And their audience is primarily African-American female, and they were looking for a female to deliver financial education to their audience and really provide sound advice. And I would say that further in building on that question is that when I first got into financial education, I felt like I had to be a certain type of financial educator. I felt like I had to be Susie Orman. I felt like I couldn't be myself with like my afro, and I just felt like I had to be someone different than who I was. And then something just happened. I was like, why am I'm basically working to be a financial educator. Like, I want to start my own business so I can be who I want to be. And I started to accept that about myself and to be myself and to be honest about my background. And so I became more authentic in doing that. And you'll see a lot of people say that authenticity is everything. And that's what happened, is that I just became more authentic. And now brands are attracted to the fact that I'm authentic about my approach to personal finance and how I work with people. So Rush Card came from doing a free event and just nourishing that relationship. But at the base of it, it was from being authentic and true to who I was as a financial educator and being comfortable exploring my own route. What are some tips to having a successful blog? So people will tell you that the important thing about having a successful blog is that you have to blog regularly. That's not the case. When I first started blogging, I was killing myself trying to put up 2-3 posts a week. Like I was going crazy. I was hating writing. It was just a little bit too much. And so for me, and you know, different industries are different, different niches are different. But for me, the most important thing was creating compelling content that really served people. And Mish, I know that you have a blog. I know your blog. I'm familiar with you. I know that your blog is Passion and Paychecks, and you have a blog that is really, really, really committed to serving people. And that's important. So now My Fab Finance gets more hits now that I blog less frequently, but focus more on quality, because it's not a fashion blog. I can't take pictures, and that doesn't captivate my audience. What captivates my audience is help and giving them solid strategies that they can follow. So it's really important when you're building a successful blog to understand exactly what it is that people are coming to your blog for and giving them that, not subscribing to all the blog books out there that say you have to post regularly on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, etc. No, that's not necessarily going to be your formula. You have to listen to your audience and move the way your audience tells you to. What did I do to build my brand, my business, or my blog? That's a dense question. So what I did to build my brand was, if you look at my Instagram, I don't know who follows me on Instagram, but I'm very, very, very intentional with my Instagram. And so I built my Instagram up as one of my primary tools. But if you go to it, first of all, it's public. A lot of people have businesses and they have private Instagrams. I don't understand that, because if I want to learn about your business, I'm not going to follow you just to learn about your business. It needs to just be laid out there. But even though I don't say you need blog consistency per se in blogging, you need consistency with your brand as a whole. So that means one of the biggest things I did, and my mentor, the Budgetnista, taught me this, is all my social media handles are My Fab Finance across the board. So when I'm speaking at an event, when I meet people and I tell them I'm My Fab Finance, it's easy for them to locate me. I use hashtags. We're in the age of social media. Take advantage of hashtags. Somebody asked how I go to conferences for free. Last year, my first ever financial bloggers conference, I simply tweeted, and my social media presence wasn't even as, rounded out as it is now. But I simply tweeted that I was going to be going to that conference and used the hashtag. And a company reached out to me and was like, hey, would you like to host a private dinner with a finance expert? We can invite 10 to 12 people in the field, and we'll pay for your flight, we'll pay for your hotel, and we'll pay for your conference registration. So being intentional and using hashtags that I know people will be researching in my field. How did you become a certified financial educator? What was the process? So financial education is kind of like, it differs. You can go to different certifying boards. I went to the National Financial Educators Council. A lot of the information we know, but I went to the National Financial Educators Council, and they helped me round out my teaching abilities. I'm not a natural teacher, so they helped me round that out and provided me with a few resources. But you can still do it. If you have a degree in social work, LaShawn, one thing I would recommend is the Financial Social Work Program by Rita Wolfson out of North Carolina. It's an amazing Periscope. And it's amazing. I'm reading the comments. Sorry. It's an amazing program for people who are interested in blending behavioral change with financial education, which is what I specialize in. I'm sorry I'm delayed on these, guys. I'm just catching up and I'm devoting a lot to each of these questions. Would you be open to posting monthly income reports on your blog? I've thought about that. I don't think I would post monthly income reports on My Fab Finance per se, but I'm looking into launching TanyaRapley.com, and I would post income reports on there because I love My Fab Finance and I feel like I'm going to be doing it for a while, but I don't want to hinge myself only to that. I do recognize that there are other things I'm passionate about, like helping people discover their passion, coaching people on how to operate their blog and how to build their blog. And so I probably would post them on TanyaRapley.com. Scrolling down the questions, guys. Scrolling down, trying to catch up with y'all. Oh, Jennifer. Okay, so how did I land the cover of Black Enterprise? Did you pitch a story to her? The latter. So Black Enterprise, this is the importance of your network. Black Enterprise happened because they contacted someone in my network, actually the Budgetnista. Me and the Budgetnista are really good friends. And that shows that two people in the same niche can build and support each other. Me and the Budgetnista are really good friends. And so she ended up, they reached out to her for a article on millennials and money. And she was like, I'm not a millennial. She was like, she texted me and was like, hey, Black Enterprise is looking for a millennial. Are you interested in this? And I was like, hell yeah, I'm interested in this. Black Enterprise. Oh my God. So they reached out, they interviewed me, and the interview went really well. When I did it, I had no idea it was going to be the cover subject. And actually, that's why the photo, ironically, is taken on my roof in Bed-Stuy, because I was at the Financial Bloggers Conference when they needed to schedule a photo shoot. But I'm happy it worked out that way, because I dare to say I'm the first woman on the cover of Black Enterprise with her afro. Like I'm pretty sure I'm like the first person with an afro on Black Enterprise. And it was just me in my element in Brooklyn. So my fiance shot that photo on my roof because they called me and told me they were going to feature me prominently in the publication. But I thought that meant that I was going to be in like the table of contents, or, you know, maybe I did not think cover. That's one thing. I did not think cover. And then I found out I had the cover by surprise. I was sitting here and I had just taken a selfie with Mayor de Blasio at an event, and I thought that was epic. And then a friend texted me and she was like, oh my God, Black Enterprise cover, major? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she texted me a screenshot, and the digital issues came out early, and I saw all their collateral with my face on it. So Black Enterprise came because of my network and someone in my network. And that's one of the things is I wrote down 4 things I wanted people to think about as they walk into their passion. The second thing I wrote down is seek out your tribe. Seek out people in your niche who are not intimidated by your drive. Seek out people who are fellow entrepreneurs and are willing to pour into you. Seek out people who think that your goals are amazing and inspire you to dream higher. I was talking to Dominique Brown, is another financial educator, and he's one of my good friends from Your Finances Simplified. And I was like, Dominique, I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 35. And he was like, what? No, you need to be a multimillionaire by the time you're 35. And that helped me change my way of thinking. So surround yourself with people who will throw you a Black Enterprise opportunity or a press opportunity if that moment comes up, and people who inspire you to bring the best out of yourself and are willing to, you know, send you a link to a book that might help you, send you a link to a webinar that might help you. People who aren't intimidated by your greatness. Reading down, how did you come up with my blog name? My Fab Finance came up. So my blog name originally was My Fab FICO, after the credit scoring entity, because my journey started off to increase my credit score to 750 credit score. So I applied for my trademarks under My Fab FICO, and instead of getting my trademark information, I got a cease and desist letter from FICO, and they were like, nah. We spent like years building this. What you're not going to do is add My Fab in front of it and make it yours. And so I had to go to the drawing board, and I was kind of devastated, but I also saw it as an opportunity. Thank you, Angela. I'm just seeing that comment. I also saw it as an opportunity to broaden my horizons. So with My Fab FICO, I could only talk about credit. But when I sat back and thought about ideas and thought about changing it across the board, and I was like, why not just My Fab Finance? And I can talk about everything finance related. So I think it's better, and I think it rolls better than My Fab FICO did anyway. And so that's just a reminder, like sometimes things will happen along your journey that you feel are setbacks, but really they're set ups, because I don't know if my blog would be as awesome if it was just My Fab FICO, or be received as well if it was My Fab FICO. And I would not feel as comfortable talking about all things finance if it was still My Fab FICO. So having to change it to My Fab Finance was an absolute blessing. And I'm sure that FICO is kicking themselves. Why did I choose to start a for-profit in lieu of a nonprofit? I started so my company is called my company is actually the Not Just for Profit LLC, because I consider myself a social entrepreneur. Eventually I might start a nonprofit. I'm looking into that, but based on having 2 jobs, and pretty much working full time and starting a business, it was just easier for me to set it up as an LLC as the checks were rolling in. But that's not to say that I won't have a nonprofit organization down the line. I was married before. I'm engaged now to someone else, but I was married before, and he started a nonprofit organization, and I saw all the tedious stuff that he was going to start his nonprofit, and I wasn't ready for it. It's kind of like thinking about the Black enterprise opportunity. I didn't feel like I was ready for that. And I don't feel like I'm ready for a nonprofit organization. I'm just getting my bearings and having my own business. And so that's what My Fab Finance is. And then down the line, who knows what's going to happen. My ultimate goal is to start educating other financial educators and creating a whole slew of people who are educating our community, and arming them with the tools. I enjoyed my program that I went through, but I think that there are things that could have been done better. So I want to focus on that. Aisha Murphy, congratulations, Naifa and Sadia's mom. Sorry if I messed that up. I'm thinking of moving to Brooklyn. How crucial do you think your location is to success of your blog? Do you do more networking via social media or in real life? That's a great question. So me and my fiance are interested in, we're going to move to California. I'll be moving to California soon. And I know that I've had a lot of opportunities because I'm located here in New York. There are times where people will call me and it's easy for me to just go meet them. I'm like, hey, I live in New York. Let's do this. But in the same sense, that is not any reason not to have a successful business if you live elsewhere, because we are uber connected in the tech industry and with the internet, and all the editors that are with these major publications are located elsewhere. I mean, they're located here, but you can connect with them online. My good friend Marsha Barnes of the Finance Bar lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, but she was featured by US World Report. You know, so it's just a matter of understanding how media works, understanding how to set yourself up and position yourself to where you're grabbing their attention, understanding how to connect with them on social media. But living in New York does have some advantages. But there are so many people who are in Black enterprise, on Black enterprise, who don't live in New York. There are so many people who, you know, I mean, look at my leak. She lives in Atlanta. There are just countless entrepreneurs who are successful and not in New York City. So definitely leverage social media. Goes great with it. Definitely leverage social media, because I think social media is my strongest tool. And I recognize that. And I've landed Reuters interviews because of social media. I go to conferences for free because of social media. Someone emailed me. So for example, me and my partner produce one of my income streams, and here's me being transparent. One of my income stream is producing events for personal finance companies that want to connect with influencers. I started blogging in personal finance in 2013. But what happens is there starts to be this cliquey thing that happens in any niche, whether it's beauty blogging, whether it's hair, whether it's fashion. Personal finance has it too. Because I was new, I wasn't in that clique. And I was able to bring new bloggers and other bloggers who had respectable audiences to the forefront of these companies. And I specialize in helping companies connect with not only the cliques of the personal finance community, but people all throughout the personal finance community. So I was able to carve out an income stream that is really awesome. One of my clients is Fidelity. The other one is SoFi Student Loans. One is a National Endowment for Financial Education. One is an organization called Sensei. I was able to carve out a completely different income stream for myself by using the fact that I wasn't in the personal finance cliques to connect them with people who also were in the personal finance cliques. So you weren't getting the same people at all your events every single time you did an event. So that is expanded upon why just because you're not in Brooklyn or just because you're not in New York City doesn't mean that you can't do amazing things and you can't grow your brand. I am going to be working with individuals on helping them better understand how to connect with companies. And so, and using social media and leveraging your assets online to create income offline. How did I build my audience? Intentionally. So one of the things when I first started out with My Fab Finance, this is my friend, the Budgetnisa again. She reached out, we were talking and she was like, Tanya, you cannot be a buffet business. And that's what I was doing. I was being a buffet business and I was trying to offer everything because I was scared of losing coins. Let me drink some water. Because I was scared of losing coins. And so what I did, I had to hone in on what I wanted to be known for. And for a good 7 months, I honed in on, I improved my credit score by 130 points in 18 months. And that's what I was known for probably about a good year of My Fab Finance. That's the only thing I was known for. I was the girl who improved her credit score by 130 points in 18 months. And that enabled me to do what Tiffany calls to build my tree trunk. So I built my tree trunk on my credit history and my credit expertise. And then I've been able to branch out. So I say that, Nia, because when you're doing too much, your audience, it makes it difficult to understand what you even do. Like, have you ever stumbled onto someone's social media page and you're like, what do they even do? They sell like body wraps, they sell cars, they like do hair, like they just do so many things and you become confused and you're like, there's no way you can do all this stuff, you know. You just go to someone else. And so that was one of the biggest things, was like giving my audience, finding the audience, determining what I wanted the audience to perceive about me and doing that and sticking with that. And as that, my audience began to come. Using social media memes and posting helpful information. People love to share helpful information with other people. And so I would post my memes, and I still post my memes, so they'll tag other people in it. They'll repost it on their pages. And people are like, who's this My Fab Finance person? Another thing that I did to build my audience was tap into other successful audiences. So if we have any natural hair bloggers on here or natural hair accounts or anything like that, when I first got started, as you see, I have big hair. I used their hashtags and was featured on a lot of their pages. And so they would they would post me and send their audience members to me. And a lot of these sites are major, like 100,000, 200,000 followers. So I integrated myself into their threads, and that in turn brought traffic back to me. So that's another way that I built my audience. But when they came to me, they knew exactly what I did. I talk about money, I help you with your money. And it was really important for them to know exactly what I did once they got there. How did you successfully manage working a full-time job and building a brand or business? Crystal, it was really difficult. There were times where I definitely wanted to give up. There were times where I was just like, why am I even doing this? And that was especially when My Fab Finance wasn't generating like any money. And I'll be honest, when I started My Fab Finance, and even in the past couple of years, I put about $15,000 into just like education and courses and training and learning on growing my business, growing as a financial educator, growing as a coach. I spent a lot of money on this. And there was a point where I was like, damn, I'm a financial educator and this return is not adding up. This is not doing good. And so there were definitely times I wanted to give up, but I just loved it, you know. And I think that it's especially important to remember that when you're building anything, because you have to love it. You have to be passionate about it, because that's what's going to bring you through feeling like I can't juggle the two of them. I did transition out of a job that wasn't as flexible. I used to have a job that was really not flexible. The boss, ironically, one day told another staff member, why is she working on that blog? Isn't going to pay her bills. And at effective September 3rd, it does pay my bills. And so I had to transition out of that job to something that was a little more flexible and understood. And in the interview, I let them know I had a blog that I was passionate about, and that was the work that I was doing outside of the job. But it just became too much eventually, going to speaking engagements, trying to travel, trying to take conference calls. I'm out in the hallway taking conference calls, sneaking away from my desk. So it became too much, but it was time management. And I wish I could say that I found more time, but I didn't. I literally would wake up and work on My Fab Finance 3 hours before I went to work, answer My Fab Finance emails during my lunch break. And as soon as I got home, I'd be working on My Fab Finance too. So I had 2 full-time jobs, and it came to a point where I was like, My Fab Finance is my full-time job, and my other job, like my 9 to 5, that's my part-time job. My 9 to 5 is my primary investor in My Fab Finance, but this is like what I really do. When I met people, even when I met people at work functions, I was like, I'm a financial educator. So it's difficult to balance. I don't think there's any way around it. It's difficult to balance, but eventually it pays off. And I think the people who don't make it are the people who give up before it pays off. Did you set an actual goal to be a full-time entrepreneur in 2 years? No, I didn't. And that's the interesting thing is, you know, my big thing is no matter what you do everything with intention. I had the intention to be free. That was my intention. My intention was to be free, and to find something that I loved doing and that I was committed to. I didn't know it was going to be My Fab Finance, honestly. But then when I realized I wanted to do it, I prayed on it. I definitely prayed on it. And before I quit my job, you know, I had my aha moment, but I prayed on it and I was like, God, if there's like, I want to do this, I need you to give me signs. And the next day, I lied to you not, I had just finished the Super Fab Finance Planner. I had just finished this, and usually Amazon takes a few days to get your sample to you. That next morning, I walked into work and it was on my desk. Usually the mail doesn't come into the afternoon, but after praying, I walked in, it was on my desk. A few hours later, I got an email from Essence. Another few hours later, I got another email that someone wanted to book me for an event. And I was like, I hear you, God. I hear you. And that's when I knew, like, this is what it's supposed to be. Do you create a backup plan for leaving your job besides the rush card account? I'm afraid to quit my job to pursue my wedding planning business full-time without having that security. So Victoria, I definitely, so I have my emergency savings account. I put in 2.5 months of cushion. And I know as a financial educator, you know, we say 3 months, but with me having the rush card gig and several other opportunities, I felt like I was going to lose money and lose. It was more important for me to be present and building my business with that, you know, amount of money than to continue to try to work and do things full time and do things like do both of those jobs full time. And neither one of them is getting the attention that they needed. So for me, no, the rush card gig, as I said, does pay the bills. I have my clients, Fidelity and SoFi. I do events for them. But I'm building out the coaching segment of my work. And also I get paid to write. So I write for several entities. I write for theroot.com. I write for Barclays Card. I write for Magnify Money, an organization called Foolproof. And I think those are my paid writing gigs right now. So I do have writing income as well that comes in. But, you know, just to piggyback on that, I mean, I don't have any children, so I don't want, my situation could be different from someone else. I don't have any children. Me and my fiance haven't started having children yet. And so my whole thing is I have a master's degree. At the end of the day, I have, you know, this job experience, like jobs are going to be there. But will My Fab Finance and this opportunity always be here? And I had to choose which one I was more concerned with. If you could do it all over again, what is one thing you would do differently and one hard lesson you learned but wouldn't change? I really like that question. If I could do it all differently, I would have set up my services sooner. I feel like I lost out on a lot of opportunities because I was chasing media placements. So not the My Fab Finance wasn't a media placement, but I don't know if everybody knows about Haro, Help a Reporter Out, but like they send out queries every day for people who write in the media. This is a great resource for individuals who are looking to get into the press. They send out inquiries every day and you can respond to it. And, you know, sometimes people might pick you up. So that's how I got picked up by US News. I did an article with them and a few other outlets. And I was chasing I was forgetting why I was doing it. I was chasing the notoriety and not even realizing what I wanted people to come back and do when I had the notoriety. Does that make sense? Like, I realized that I had no plan, basically. Like, I had no plan. I just wanted to be like out there and feel like I was doing something, when in turn, like, if people were coming to my site, they were going to read my blog and leave. So that's what I would have done differently. I would have set it up a little better than I originally did. But there's one thing I wouldn't change. I wasn't ready for the Black Enterprise cover, but I wouldn't change that for the world. That's one thing I wouldn't change, because I mean, that speaks, yeah, in all humility, you know, that is a huge accomplishment that some will never achieve. So while I wasn't ready for it, I wouldn't change it for the world. And I let it happen again in the same course, because I wasn't ready, but I'm ready now. How did you figure out what to charge for various services? So that's difficult for me, because as a financial educator, I'm always feeling like I can't, and this is me being transparent, like, people tell me they are having money issues, and how am I going to charge them for me to help them with their money issues and still make a living? And so I had to expand my services, and I worked with, that comes into coaching and paying a lot of money. I worked with a young woman, her name is Raven Jones of Fire Your Boss Academy. And Raven is amazing. Raven helped me really sit down and think about what I was going to charge for my services. And you'll see an example of that. I'll show an example of it today. How did you get time for your personal life? You make time. I would make a conscious decision. It's something that I would have to check in with my fiance on a regular basis. I'd have to ask him, are you okay? I know I'm working like extra hard this week. Are you okay? Are we okay? There are some times where I was okay with not having a personal life, because for one, it was saving me money not to be going to parties, not to be brunching, not to be doing other things. And for two, like, I knew that I was building something. And now I look at it as, you know, now I work for myself full time. And that time that I that didn't have time to do stuff in my personal life, like, now I have way more time. I have more time than a lot of people who wanted to do stuff with me. So it's just a matter of sacrifice. To this day, I would rather sit in the house and work on My Fab Finance on a Friday night than to be out. But then I do have like small pleasures, and like a Saturday, if I work a lot of days, I might take a Saturday, or I probably would. Now I take even more Saturdays and Sundays off, and I'm getting better about not feeling guilty about not working all the time. There was this point where I felt like I had to work all the time to get ahead. And now I realize that I'm no good to My Fab Finance or anybody that I work with if I'm exhausted. So I build that personal time into my schedule. Like, I don't have my planner in front of me, my other planner, but I actually like write down gym time in my schedule. And I schedule like girl time with my friends. And when someone's coming in town, I'm more intentional to give myself a break. How do you prepare for writing gigs? Oh, so writing gigs, that's interesting. There are a lot of outlets that are willing to pay people. So I started writing for free. That's how I did it, because I didn't have a portfolio other than my blog. So I reached out to like Go Girl Finance and wrote for them for free, wrote like 3 articles for them for free, add that to the portfolio. I wrote for Kevin Powell's BK Nation, add that to the portfolio. And I might have wrote for like 2 other outlets. And then, so at that point, I had work that I was able to prove, like, I write for these people. And I was able to leverage that. I started out really, really, like, my rates were really cheap. I think my first writing gig paid like $125, $100 an article. They paid $100 an article. And that's where I started out. But that was a good amount of extra income that I was able to use to put into my, whether it's my debt pay down fund or my emergency, or I call my freedom fund. And so I started writing for free and just leverage that. And then as you begin to build your expertise in your community, you'll start to see that other people will reach out to you, and they'll almost assume that you charge for writing articles. I would say, as a baseline, articles are a lot of work. So don't take less than $100 to write an article. Like, the research and everything that goes into it, don't take less than $100 to write an article. Are you any recommendations for writing courses? Skillshare is really awesome. They have a few writing courses. I wouldn't say I'm the strongest writer. And it just depends what you're going to be writing. Like if you're going to write, like I'm not writing for the New York Times, you know, I'm giving relatable information that is easy for people to digest. So I took a few brusher courses at Gotham Writing School here in New York, but you can go to community college and do them, find out what's free. Watch Nikki Elledge Brown is awesome. I'm going to type her name, Nikki Elledge Brown. I think I'm misspelling her resource for, I think I'm spelling her name wrong, but Nikki Elledge Brown, excuse the typos, I'm trying to get this out quick. So Nikki Elledge Brown is a great resource to just learn about writing, learn about copywriting, and learn about communicating through with your words better. So just look at the free resources online before paying somebody. That's like the real. That's how I started My Fab Finance. That's how I started improving my credit score. Is I was too cheap to pay. I couldn't even afford to pay anybody because I was making like $28,000 a year here in New York. But I was also too cheap to pay anybody, and so I just spent like my days and nights studying credit and how it worked. And I spent a lot of time doing that. My end goal. Coop is my best friend, guys. So what's my end goal when this is all said and done? What do you want My Fab Finance to say about Tanya Rapley? I want My Fab Finance to make a difference in people's lives at the end of the day. And My Fab Finance, or any of the work that I'm doing with My Fab Finance, I want it to make a difference in people's lives. I want people to feel like they have tools and strategies to achieve a better them. One thing I'm really, really, really passionate about now is helping people discover their passion. And I'm going through a few courses for that because I just want to help people be their best self. I think there are so many people who are living but not thriving. There's so, and that's a cliche statement, but it's so true. There are so many people who are just like here existing and they're not passionate about anything. So I want My Fab Finance to be the tool that enables people to do that and enables others to help people do that. Nia, how long did it take you to trademark and build your site? So trademark process is underway because I wasted a lot of money initially filling out the trademark application because I said I'm too cheap to do things like not the right way, to let other people do things. And I learned my lesson because I applied for a trademark twice and it's $275 every time you apply. And it got rejected. The first time because it was My Fab FICO. The second time because I just did something wrong on the application. So I lost that money. So now I was able to build a strategic alliance with an attorney who she's transitioning over intellectual property. So she's helping me do the trademark stuff. From my understanding, it's going to take about 6 to 9 months. As far as building my site, My Fab Finance, this is the 4th version of My Fab Finance that I know, Jennifer, I'll get back to you. This is the 4th version of My Fab Finance that I am on, the site that is up as it is. One thing I will say about building a website, like your website's never going to be done. It's never going to be right. Like today I saw something, My Fab Finance was just redone in April, and I looked at something on someone else's site and I was like, dang, I want that. Texting my designer like, hey, can we do this? So your website's never going to be done, and don't become so focused on it not being done that you don't get started. My Fab Finance looked like crap when I first started. It was like a banner that I designed, and I don't know what program. Canva wasn't around then, so the banner was hideous. And it was a WordPress site that I designed myself. But I made myself commit to it, and once I realized I was committed to My Fab Finance, then I started investing in like a designer to make it look better. That designer was like $350. There was a lot of stuff broke on the back end for that price, but that was like $350. And then I upgraded to another designer. And then I was like, I'm done with like these cut and paste designers. I need a web developer. And so now I'm currently working with a web developer on My Fab Finance. But that's another thing. Don't become so focused on the appearance of your site that you don't focus on like your services and the things that are going to help you maintain that site, because we get so caught up in appearances and we don't have a powerful engine. It's like, you know, having a nice car and not having an engine underneath the hood. So really make sure that you focus on what you want your site to do for you or what you want it to do for others, or the both of those. Jennifer, as far as business insurance, so My Fab, I'm still exploring my business insurance options because I wasn't doing My Fab Finance full time, and because I wasn't doing coaching at the time, I did not have it, but I am wavered up. So that's something that I would have to explore more. Maybe I can do a blog post on business insurance. I'm going to write that down. So does anybody else have a few more questions? Because I have a surprise for you. So does anybody else have any questions or anything like that? Because I'm going to go ahead and begin queuing up for this surprise. Lord knows, please, I hope that it don't just mess like all my stuff up, because you know it was rough getting started. Let me open this up. So you guys are going to see my full screen, and you're going to see everything that's open. I'm opening some now. This looks really weird. It's like a tunnel. This is really awkward. Okay. Okay. So I have this screen open. I'm going to get back to the question section, but we're about to go. So I wanted to share what I have for you guys because I'm really, really, really excited about this. Thank you for tuning in to I Chose Me. And as a special gift for everyone, remind you, I cannot see my question and answer column right now because I have this up. So I apologize if I'm ignoring any of your questions. I'll get right back to it. So as a special thank you to everyone, I have a gift, which is, excuse me, a list and descriptions of my favorite books that are certified game changers. Let's face it, everyone's an author these days, and it's really difficult to know like what books work, what books don't. So everyone who's attending this webinar gets a free PDF on my favorite books and game changers. But I also want to just recap what we discussed. We discussed my non-conventional journey and how I found the financial emotional courage to fire my boss in 2 years, including my aha moment after interviewing Russell Simmons, how I built my profitable blog-based business while working full-time and completing graduate school, and making a blog that was not a traditional model work for me and serve me full-time and provide a full-time income. I also discussed things you can do to move closer to your purpose and living in your purpose today. And my areas of expertise are blogging, professional development, and money. So I spent such a long time learning this. And as I said, I was too cheap. Even though I eventually spent $15,000 on everything, I was too cheap to figure it out or figure out what I wanted to get or how I was going to get there. And there was also a point where I was just like, this can't happen to me. This can't happen for me because of all the reasons it can't. But today you can do all the things that I did, or you can work with me, someone who has cleared the mental clutter and is a living, breathing example of a well-implemented strategy and planning, and just understanding how to set the intention and allow your intention to channel and charge the desires in your life. So I created something called the Power Powwow. This is the first time ever. I get so many emails of people asking me to pick my brain, and I can't pour into them the way I wanted to. So I created the Power Powwow, which I will pour 90 minutes of my time and my expertise and experience into only 10 people. I can only take on 10 people because I'm in the process of launching the Finance Revamp Bootcamp. So I can only take on 10 people who are feeling stuck or are ready to move forward in their life and power towards their purpose. The Power Powwow is limited. So after, I believe the only days you will be able to get it is up until Sunday, and then it's gone. And it will help you gain clarity, develop a deeper understanding of the specific challenges that you're experiencing, determine your next steps that will help you move closer to your purpose, and find a renewed sense of motivation. I will work with you on all of those things. I will walk you through all of them the way other people have walked me through them. It's a 90-minute session. You get a personalized plan with me. You get unlimited access and with 24-hour response from me for the next 6 months. And you get my Build Your $1 Million Network PDF, which outlines how I'm able to build a relationship, such as my relationship with the Budgetnista, how I'm able to go to conferences for free. And I'm doing that for $297 today. That is a Power Powwow bundle. I can tell you next year, my coaching sessions are going to go up because it's not just financial education. Like, I'm doing life coaching and helping people achieve the same things that I've achieved in stepping into their journey. So that's $800 worth of services, not to mention what it's worth when you implement it. And I'll probably throw in some financial coaching in there too. So it comes with a 90-minute Google Hangout, phone call, or Skype session, 6 months of unlimited email access, and Building Your Boss Network PDF. If you're interested in it, you click that button that says, I want my powwow. You click that button, or you can also click at the very bottom of the screen that I want my powwow. And what will happen is you'll be taken to my Gumroad account, which I can walk you through setting up your Gumroad account and press, I want this. And it's just that simple. It's one of the easiest ways to check out ever. I love Gumroad. And these are just a couple of the testimonials. Deja, I've been working with Deja for a minute, but me and Deja have only really had one phone call. And I provide email support to her and have helped her change everything. And just like, I've watched her blossom, and it's amazing. And also Siobhan, just working with women in her group and doing coaching sessions with them. So if you're interested in the Powwow bundle, that's only going to be available until Sunday. If you're interested in the Power Powwow bundle, definitely take advantage by clicking the information at the bottom of your screen. And I am just logging back in to make sure we don't have any more questions. And let me just get into these questions. Damn, because I got a lot more. Did I set up my business account when I started? Okay, so Sue, what is your advice when going to conferences? Wait, am I back up, guys, or is my my thing still up? Oh no, okay, I'm back. So Sue, what is my advice when going to a conference? Take your cards. One of the things I do, I don't have my card holder in me, but you always get those little weird name tags. I put my name tag, so it would be like My Fab Finance facing the group or facing whoever I'm walking up on, so they'll see my logo and everything and they see my branding. But I make sure that I get everybody's card that I talk to, and I write a small note on their card, and when I get home, I put it into a spreadsheet. On that spreadsheet, I'll write down like their information so that I can, if I lose those cards, it's no sweat. I put it all in a spreadsheet, and I follow up with those people within 3 days after meeting them, because research proves that if you do not follow up with someone after 3 days of meeting them, then they basically forget about you. So I follow up with them, and then I might re-follow up with them if I don't hear from them. But doing that method alone has earned me at least $15,000 in business, following up with people when I go to conferences. So even if you're not the loudest person in the room, when I go to conferences, I'm like hella chill and hella introverted. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room. You just have to be effective and know what you want out of that conference and out of who you might be talking to. You don't have to talk to them for the entire conference. You don't have to be buddy-buddy with them and follow them like everywhere. You just, you know, talk to them, keep it moving. And so, yeah, definitely follow up with them within 3 days after the conference. My voice is getting strained. I set up my business account. No, I didn't set up my business account when I first started, because I don't want people to get into the clutter. Like, stay out of your head when you're starting a business. If you aren't bringing in income, I would not, don't make it so difficult for yourself. Like, for the longest, I was getting checks made out to Tanya Rapley direct, and then I just opened up a separate account connected to my bank account that those checks would go into. So now I have a business checking account because my checks are a lot bigger. But when I was making like $500 with My Fab Finance every couple of months, it wasn't even worth the hassle and the fees. Now I do have a business checking account. I have mine through Navy Federal. And if anybody is eligible for Navy Federal, I highly suggest getting a business account with them. I think my only for-profit bank account is with Capital One 360. And that's what me and my fiance have, our house account. I actually have 4 bank accounts. What was your strongest mental hurdle? My strongest mental hurdle was really believing in myself, in all honesty, and that's being transparent. My strongest mental hurdle was believing in myself. I shared that I struggled with math growing up. Like I was put on punishment. I sucked at math. Like I remember I was on punishment like the entire first semester of my fresh sophomore year in high school because I got a D in math. And so just feeling like I wasn't smart enough to do My Fab Finance. I really felt like I wasn't smart enough. I have terrible memory, and I was just like, I can't remember stuff. I'm not going to be a good public speaker. I'm not dramatic. I told myself everything that I wasn't. And I really had to overcome doing that. I really had to get over that. And that's something, we are our biggest critics and we are our biggest enemies so many times. And there were so many times that I told myself that I wasn't good enough to be doing what I was going to do, even after Black Enterprise. So, I mean, now I'm just owning it. I've learned how to own it, but I was my biggest mental hurdle. When leaving my corporate job, definitely letting go of the security. Like today was the last day I got a paycheck and I was like, but I was happy about it. I was like, this is the last 9-to-5 check that I'm getting. And I was really, really happy about that. But definitely letting go of the fact that I was depending on someone to pay me versus I was responsible for getting money and paying for myself. Have I thought about selling financial packages? Yes, and I will be offering the Power Powwow package. Is not for people who are looking for financial assistance. The Power Powwow package is for people who need professional assistance, need help with their passion, need help growing with their blog and standing out in their niche, need help in those areas. I am working on something called the Finance Revamp Bootcamp that will be a 6-month program that will be launching at the end of September. It's a 6 month. It's a 12-week program, and we will start everything from your money mindset to identifying your spending triggers to going through your credit score and how to improve your credit yourself and a whole bunch of other financial aspects. So I am working on the financial packages. Anonymous 4085 is not letting you put your country in. They're really awesome. Gumroad is really a good service, but if Gumroad isn't doing it, you can also do it on, I have it on My Fab Finance and I'll share the link with you right now. Gumroad is really good. I'm sorry that they're giving you problems. I'm really excited about these Power Powwow sessions, and I just give so much that I know I can only do 10, because even when I was doing financial counseling, like I would tell someone that they could have an hour and I'd be on the phone with them for 2 hours. So I'm really excited about doing them. I'm really excited about just activating change in other people's lives. And here is the link if you're having issues on the Gumroad page. So my online courses, I am going to be releasing a, and I might as well throw this in there. If there's anybody who is on this webinar right now, write down this is my email address. I tell you, I give away too much. So this is my email address. If you are on this webinar right now, I am finalizing a Financially Preparing to Be Your Own Boss course. It's shot and edited. My fiance is editing it. And I'm going to be releasing that. But because you're on the webinar, this webinar, I'll give it to you for free. Told you, I just like giving shit away. I will give it to you for free. All you have to do is email me at Tanya@myfabfinance.com. And it will be my Financially Preparing to Be Your Own Boss course. And I'm also working on the credit etiquette course, but that's not going to be available until next year. That's a 3-part series on improving your credit yourself, because a lot of people make a lot of money on credit repair. And the truth is you can do a lot of this stuff yourself. I improved my credit score to 750. My fiance has a 757 credit score, and we did it on our own. And so I'll be doing a course that helps people walk through that, but that's not going to drop into the top of the new year. I just don't have the capacity. And I'm taking December off. That's the beauty of working for yourself. I'll be taking December off. So if we don't have any more questions, guys, I am signing off. If you can tell, I am hoarse. I am going hoarse right now. So I guess I'm kind of screaming like Meek Mill. I apologize for that. But I really look forward to working with you all. I really look forward to sending you the free Financially Preparing to Be Your Own Boss course. Well, free for you, and you can't share with nobody. And if you haven't signed up for your powwow, it's a phenomenal opportunity. Like, how many people can say that they were personally mentored by someone who was on the cover of Black Enterprise? Like, people just can't say that on a regular basis. So if you haven't done it, you can sign up. It comes with 90 minutes of coaching with me. It comes with 6 months of unlimited email access. And it comes with Building Your Boss Network PDF on how I'm able to like body relationships when I'm at conferences, how I'm not the loudest in the person, but I'm one of the most memorable people. In the email, just say that you were on this webinar and that you want the course. Just say, I was on your webinar and you said you were going to send out the Financially Preparing to Be Your Own Boss course. And just send that to me so I can add you to a list. So as soon as we upload it, I can just send that to you. If you're going to need a link, the email will include the link. Cool. I'm so thankful for you guys. Thank you again. I'm putting my email address in here. The books will come to you as a PDF. So that is a PDF that is being compiled, and you will get that by Saturday morning. So the books, like the best books that you should read, you will get that by Saturday morning. And I'm probably shiny as heck right now because I have these lights on because it's dark in Brooklyn. But thank you all so much for joining in. I really appreciate you. I am closing out this Google Hangout session. Thank you for bearing with me through the problems. Ooh, I'm so oily. Thank you for bearing with me through the problems. And I appreciate you. And I look forward to working with you guys in a power powwow and unlocking your power and your passion. Bye, guys.